The Lord is my rock, and my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my strength, in whom I will trust. My buckler, and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. Hello guys! Welcome to Sunday School with Miss Wesley. For you that are new, I do a series of Sunday School lessons. And this just happens to be a special edition series. I have in this series of lessons, I have done 5 lessons. It was in 5 days. And there is 5 episodes. This is the second lesson in the series of fighting with God. And if you guys are looking for the first episode, we did that yesterday. And it was called Bringing Down the Walls. And in it, we did bring down the walls with Jericho. And today, new lesson. Well, and new episode. Today we will be raising up the walls with Nehemiah. Nehemiah, yes, Nehemiah. Some of you probably have heard the name Nehemiah because it is a book in the Bible, but it's not widely taught, which it's kind of silly because Nehemiah is an awesome lesson. And I hope you guys by the end of this will understand how awesome the lesson is. I have taught this lesson 3 times to 3 different Sunday school classes, and I enjoy teaching it because it is I want people to understand just how amazing this story really is. And, I think it's important to teach it to children, even and adults, because I think it is, well, just listen to the lesson and you'll understand the importance of it. So let's start. This, of course, takes place in the book of Nehemiah. And a long time ago in the country of Israel. And during this time, it was during the Persian Empire, during King Xerxes. The Bible refers to his name, I can't pronounce it. Something, we'll just call him Xerxes. Because that is also another popular name for him. Anyways, during this time, Nehemiah was the cupbearer to the king. And at that time, like I said, it was part of the Persian Empire. So not only was he a king, but he was the emperor. Like when the Roman Empire, they had Julius Caesar. And then they went to the emperor, and yeah, that's how powerful Xerxes was. It wasn't as big as the Roman Empire, but at that time it was fairly decent size, and it took up most of Asia Minor, and I think it went into Egypt. I'd have to check it out again. It's been a while since I've done my ancient history, but I've always enjoyed it. But like I said, it's always important to do the back history because sometimes you learn some things that were taking place at that time. So let's get back to Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king. And Jerusalem's wall had been torn down. It had been invaded. It had been ransacked. And the people were in dismay. And Nehemiah had heard this, and he was so disheartened to hear what had happened. He was talking to God about what happened, and God put it on him to go rebuild the wall, to go to Jerusalem and help them. And of course, his whole thing was that he was just a cupbearer. He was not of big importance. He was a minor figure in the grand scheme of things. But after some great persuasion by God, Nehemiah decided to take it on. And so he approaches the king and asks the king, let me go to Jerusalem. Let me do this. So the king is persuaded, which you would think that it wouldn't be such a big deal, but it was in his empire. And even though Jerusalem was in his empire, it wasn't of as great importance to Xerxes as it was to Nehemiah. But because of Nehemiah's great service, and because of circumstances as they were, the king allowed Nehemiah to go to Jerusalem and go help them rebuild the wall. So Nehemiah gets there and he starts rallying the people. Because like I said, they were in such dismay. They were in destitution. They were desolate. That means not only were they were at the lowest of lows. Like I said, they've been ransacked. Their wall was torn down. They had come and ransacked the temple even. This was completely, they were hurting so badly. And here comes a guy saying, let's rebuild the wall. God has sent me. Let's rebuild the wall. And here's how we're going to do it. Each family is going to be in charge of their part of the wall. And as we build this wall, each family has to take their part of the wall, and if they fail in that part of the wall, then that's where the wall's going to fall. So they started building this wall. And Nehemiah was instrumental in helping them. He was the leader. He was making sure that everything got done. So it got back to the king. It got back to Jerusalem's enemies of what was happening, that the Israelites were taking charge. They were rebuilding this wall, and something in their minds started changing. They started realizing that they were giving back the Israelites their power. And the Israelites, they were rebuilding this wall. And they were working together, and it became apparent in this king's mind, in these people's minds, that maybe this isn't such a good idea. Maybe they're going to use this and come after us. So they threatened Nehemiah and told him what their feelings were. And they said, if we are in the position that we're going to come and take you. So Nehemiah watched their forces and told the Israelites, continue building the wall, but do it armed. So as they were rebuilding the wall, they had building utensils in one hand and the sword in another, ready to defend themselves, but continuing to build the wall. And eventually they get this wall built, and the protection of Jerusalem is restored. Now, this whole purpose of this was the people to rebuild their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their belief. Like I said, these people were depressed. They were sad. Their whole lives were taken away from them. And Nehemiah rekindled their belief again. He helped restore this fire in them, this burning desire to live more than less, to restore their city to its former glory. And he started with a wall of protection. And each family was in charge of their part of the wall. Yes, I am repeating what I said. Each family was in charge of their part of the wall. And I'm repeating this because I want to make clear that in our churches, it is a city. And yes, sometimes it can become depressing. And the reason why our churches are cities is because, like cities, our churches are made up of families. That is how a church is. It is not a building. It is a people. It is people that are going to the churches. That is the church. The building is just a building. Like, I've seen so many people, they make churches into houses. It is just a house, a building. It is the people inside that make the church. And just like in Nehemiah, we are each in charge of guarding the church. We are each in charge of building our part of the wall to protect the church. And our enemy our enemy has always been the same enemy. It is Satan and the principalities and high places, the darkness that wishes to come in and take over. And it is our job as children of God to come together, brothers and sisters, and work together and build a wall of protection. Not to keep those that wish to come in for protection out. We are to save the lost, the hurting, the people that are broken. We are to bring them in. That is our job. But we are to keep out the enemy. And that is why Nehemiah was building the wall is to keep out the enemy. And each family was in charge. Each of our families in the church are in charge of building our walls of protection. Because if Satan can get into our families and destroy our families or even the individual, each of us are important. In the grand scheme of things, God isn't a respecter of person. Okay? We are all important in God's eyes. We all have our certain jobs and our certain spot. It might be as simple as greeting someone at the door of the church. It might be going out and talking to people outside of the church. We all have our jobs. And we all have our job inside the church to help protect it. When I say when you get saved, you become a part of the biggest family imaginable. It is huge. And it is not made by looking at where our stations are in life. It is not looking at the outside appearance. Our hearts are saved. And we become family. We have our Father, our blood. Hold on. We are royal descendants. From Jesus' blood's applied. From the moment you get saved, you become a child of God. And that means you have a giant brothers and sisters everywhere. So, like I was saying, when you join the church, you become part of the church, and your job is to help protect the church and help raise walls. And sometimes we have to have a sword in one hand to defend ourselves. And like I put in yesterday's lesson, the Bible talks about a two-edged sword that cuts into the souls of men so that they know what is right and what is wrong. This is the Word of God. And sometimes we gotta hold our swords in one hand and build in the other. Just like in the story of Nehemiah. We have to fight the enemy with one hand and build in the other. Because our churches have to be built. They have to maintain repair. Or we become or like the just like Jerusalem, we become depressed. Yeah, I don't like being depressed. Oh, it's annoying. Alright, so we are done with that lesson. I think we went a little longer than I was expecting. But I'll show you this real quick. This is the project for the lesson. What you're going to need is some old newspapers. If this is your first time watching these lessons, I do either projects or demonstrations. Today is a project. What you need is newspaper, tape, scissors, and some volunteers. I would do it, but it might take me a little while. So what you do is if you're doing this in a Sunday school class, what you're gonna need to do is if you have a large class, Break them up into teams. I would say 4 to 6 in a team. Maybe a little more. Depends. And if you have a small class, don't worry about it. And if you have, or if you're at home, I wouldn't worry about it unless you have a gazillion kids, like 8. Or if you want to do it yourself. I don't think you should worry about it if you're doing it yourself. Anywho, all you need, like I said, newspaper, tape, scissors, and the project is, and these. You want some balls. I would take them out, but then my dogs would come out of the woodwork. Anyway, and yeah. So, what you want to do is have the kids build a wall and work together as a team. The importance is they work as a team. Make sure that they're all talking together and working together. And their object is to build a wall using just the tape, the scissors, and when they get it all done, if you wanted to add some cardboard in there, that's okay. Just make sure you don't have a lot of it. So you want this to be kind of difficult for them. Like I said, you want them to work together. And you're going to ask them to build the wall. It's the best of their abilities. I suggest you do it at the beginning of the lesson and not at the end of the lesson. Because, like I said, it does take some time. And I find if you put something in kids' hands, they seem to listen better. I don't know what it is about hands being busy, but it seems to make them quieter. Kind of weird. But anyways, once they get the wall built, the object is to take these you can use tennis balls or whatever you got, and you want to take them and you want to throw it at their wall. And if they build it right, and when the ball hits it, it should just bounce back and the wall should stay put. And if they build it wrong, then of course the wall's going to come down. But it's a good opportunity for the kids to work together as a team. Like I said, it is important for the churches to have camaraderie as well as teamwork, because these are the people you're going to be working with. And it's important to have a good relationship with your church. They are your family after all. And yeah, I think that's this week's lesson. I would build the wall for you, but I think that it might just take too much time. So, tomorrow's lesson is going to be, what's it called? Not Alone. It's going to be Sight Unseen, or something to that effect. Anyways, we're going to be learning about Elisha and a invisible fighting force. Yeah. It's going to be a fun lesson. So I hope you guys stay tuned for the next lesson. It will be episode 3. So, yes, I'm so glad you guys could join me. I love you guys. God loves you, and there is nothing you can do about it. So remember, no matter where you are in life, remember you are loved. Bye.